Hi everyone, this is the Heart Property Managers YouTube channel and my name is Winnie. Today we will be discussing of some of the key important things that you need to know when you're purchasing a property in Kenya. Some of the crucial and most important points you need to check when you're buying a property in Kenya. The number one important thing that you need to do when you're purchasing a property in Kenya is to know the location of the property. Knowing the location of the property includes going to visit the property physically or sending someone that you can trust to visit the property. The reason why you need to know the physical location of the property is to verify, first of all, is it the same location that you've been given or you've seen advertised? What is the condition of the property? So many factors play around a property when it's advertised online or when someone else is telling you about it. For example, land. When you're told there's a land in a particular location, you visit this land during the dry season, it probably might be flat and very good for development, but you can visit the same property during the rainy season and find that it is flooded. Some properties are probably located in areas that you can't access or you can't build, depending with your interest. So physically visiting the location or sending someone to visit for you the location of the property that you're interested to purchase is the first most important step that you need to take when you want to purchase a property in Kenya. The second point you need to note when you are buying a property in Kenya is to know whether the property you are buying is a leasehold or a freehold property. The reason why this is important because the different leases come with different taxation and responsibility to the property owner. If you buy a leasehold property, meaning you are subject to paying land rates or land rents depending on where you are. If you buy a freehold property, it covers all. You don't have to worry about paying any rates, land rates, or land rents. The other advantage is if you are a Kenyan, you're allowed to buy freehold property. Foreigners are not allowed to buy freehold properties in Kenya unless it's a company that one of the shareholders must be a Kenyan. So these are key things that you need to know, that before you go ahead and say that I'm interested in this property, you need to know, because the leasehold property has a tenure and the tenure is 99 years. The freehold properties are not limited. They are endless. You can own a property for a lifetime and transfer it to your children and your children's children. But a leasehold property is a property that you always, at the end of the lease, you need to apply. It is also important to note that when you are buying a property on a leasehold, check what is the duration of the years that are left. For example, if the lease that is provided by the government is 99 years and you're purchasing a property that probably has only 30 years left on the lease, then it might be a disadvantage to you, because after 30 years, then you need to renew that lease, which is left to the government to decide whether they'll renew the lease or not. It never happens that the government might not renew the lease, but you need to check and know what is the duration period that is remaining on that lease. If it is a big piece of land and maybe you're planning for a long-term investment, what is the duration that is left on that lease is important. So you must look at the duration of the lease, whether the lease also is on a freehold property or is it a leasehold property. The third most important point to check when you're purchasing a property in Kenya is to get the LR number of that property. And I know this is one area that many people overlook, especially those who are buying subdivided plots that are below 1 acre. So most of the time when a property like this is being sold to several people under the same LR number, there's just an assumption that those who are buying plot will pay for the land to the land selling company or whoever is selling the company without necessarily requesting for the LR number. Why is the LR number important? Because your decision on whether you're going to buy this property or not depends on several factors: the situation and the condition of the land, and most importantly, verifying the owners of this land. You need to verify that the LR number that you're being given of that property is in the same location that you already verified on our first point. Remember the first point we said, your first stop should be physical verification of the property. So now this third point is now supporting the first point. By you having the LR number, you'll be able to connect, because the LR number will describe the property and say property LR number this and this, located on this road, blah blah blah. All those details of the property will be provided for on the LR number. So it is important to request this LR number from whoever is selling the property to you, so that you can start the process of carrying out your due diligence. Note, the LR number must come from the original title of the property, not what the person is telling you will be the LR number. So the LR number is different from a plot number. So if you're given a plot number, that is not the LR number. So you probably will not want to risk to pay money on a property where you have a plot number and you've not been given the LR number. The fourth key important step to take when you're purchasing a property in Kenya after getting the LR number is conducting a search. In Kenya, conducting a search, the fee is about 250 Kenya shillings, and you can make an application. You attach the copy of the title or the LR number that you've been given and conduct a search. Through that search, you'll be able to get the following information. You'll be able to get the history of that property, the owners of that property, and the location of that property. So all this information will continue to support your first step that we said earlier. After you visited the property, you'll be able to see the clear picture of who is the owner of this property, if there's been any transfer on the property, who it was transferred for. This history will be able to help you. So I think this is where most people who are buying properties that are less than an acre find it a bit complicated. But I think I know it is achievable when you request for this and you get this information. Even if you're buying the smallest piece of land, you should at least have some history of the owner of the property, the location of the property, or any other history that concerns this property. That is our fourth key important thing that you need to do, that you need to conduct this search. The search, you can either conduct it by yourself or through a lawyer. And most people who buy the small properties of 50 by 100, or who are buying land, or if you're buying an apartment through a developer, you skip on this point, assuming that the developer is genuine and will do this thing on your behalf. It is in your interest, if you're buying land or if you're buying a house or an apartment, to get a lawyer to conduct this search for you, so that you do not get cheated on. The assumption that the person selling the property, or the person selling an apartment, and they have an office and they're giving you form to fill and you're requested to use their lawyer to conduct the search and everything, might not be genuine. So it is only safe that you pay a lawyer some amount of money, if you can't do it yourself, to do the search before you commit yourself to purchase this property. So other than just getting the area and knowing the history of the property when you conduct a search, on top of it, you'll also get if the property has any encumbrances. That means either it is it has a loan or someone has put a caveat on it. You'll get to know all these things before you get yourself in a situation maybe that you cannot come out of after you paid your money. The fifth key point to check when you're purchasing a property in Kenya is to go to the Survey of Kenya and purchase 2 maps. The first map will show the demarcation of the property you want to buy, the boundaries, and the second one will even give you the neighbors, the neighborhood of that property. Why is this important? Why is it important to get a map from the Survey of Kenya? Because many people do not know that as subdivision happens, there are some pieces within an area, say of 10 acres, that land that is allocated for public use. So if it is very important for you to get this map, so that you know that the land that is being sold to you is probably what is not what is probably is not what is allocated. Let me rephrase it. It is important for you to get these maps from the Survey of Kenya to ensure that the land that is being sold to you is not allocated to the public. Because the truth is, As we purchase land, big chunks of land are being subdivided. This subdivision, it's a requirement within the law that certain sizes of land, when being subdivided, there should be an allocation for a school, a hostel, public land, and many other public utilities that should be catered for as the subdivision is being done. And some people want to jump these stages. So in order for you to be sure that the land that is being sold to you is not probably or maybe had been allocated for public use many, many years ago, you need to get these two maps from the Survey of Kenya in order to be safe as you purchase property in Kenya. The other key point that you should note when you are purchasing a property in Kenya, that there's a body called the Land Commission Board that is chaired by the Assistant Commissioner. This commission normally checks transfer of property. For example, if I'm buying a property somewhere in Kenya, whether it's a piece of land or a house, the transfer, the commission sits down with, especially if it's in rural areas, so I say a piece of land is somewhere in Nairobi or in Kisumu or whichever city in Kenya or town in Kenya, the land assistant commissioner will sit with some elders, especially in matters concerning land, to check the history of this property, because there are so many issues now that come, even including community land and urban properties or rural property, agricultural land, or any other property. So the Land Commission Board will sit and check all the documents that are presented by the seller and check everything concerning the history and whether there are rates or any other issues concerning this property before they can approve and say it is okay. This property is fine and you can go ahead and start the process of the sale agreement or even committing to it. So many people also don't go through these stages. This stage is very important and you need to actively get involved and make sure that actually the Land Commission sat down and this is one of the properties that they approved that can be transferred or can be sold, because it is only them that can approve the transfer of a property. So if you are impatient when you're buying property in Kenya, then of course you'll get duped, because you've listened to all the processes that I've talked about that are very, very crucial for you when you're buying property in Kenya. So if you're in a hurry, real estate is not like baking bread. Real estate is not like buying tomatoes in the market. Real estate is not like walking into a supermarket and purchasing goods. Real estate is not an event. Purchasing of real estate is a process. So don't skip any of these processes to get to where you want quickly. Most people end up starting from the next item that I'm going to mention. So the next item in a sale or a property purchase in Kenya is drawing of the sale agreement. So drawing the sale agreement comes like the step number 6 in the process of purchasing a property in Kenya. But majority of people give it position 2 or 3, or in some cases they start from the sale agreement before the verification of this needed document. So the next important step when you're purchasing a property in Kenya is to draw the sale agreement. Please, this is crucial, and maybe that's why many people skip to it, because without a sale agreement, many of the things that you mentioned will be invalid. You cannot pay money without a sale agreement. You cannot get a transfer without a sale agreement. So this is the stage where now you can get a sale agreement. Depending with the size of the property you're buying and the value of the property you're buying, the cost of the sale agreement will be pegged on it. So if the property is worth 200,000, you can get a sale agreement at 5,000. If it is 200 million, your sale agreement will be valued according to the value of the property. This is where you need legal advice and your lawyer will advise you. And it is also still important, if you're buying a property, to get a lawyer. No matter how small it is important to get a lawyer to take you through these processes to make sure that every document that you have is valid, is authenticated by a lawyer, so that you don't have any issues at the tail end of your purchase. So this is a very important stage, but it should not be put before the others that I've mentioned of doing the due diligence and ensuring that by the time you're signing the sale agreement or by the time the sale agreement is drawn, you know the entire history of the property and you know what you're getting yourself involved in. Do not skip this process and bring it to the first, but make sure that you followed every other step that I've mentioned to the last point. Okay. We have now come to the point where you have signed the sale agreement, you have paid your due 10% or whatever amount you had agreed on with the seller, you paid your 10% or 50%. Now, the following stage follows after this is done. Now, it is required at the point of the sale agreement that you provide your PIN number, your passport size photos, a document showing that all the land rates or land rents have all been cleared. That is required from the person who is selling the property. The documents that I've mentioned, the PIN number, the passport size photos, are required from both the seller and the buyer. So you'll need to provide all these documents to be able to start the process of transfer. At this point, you'll also be required to give a proof from the Land Commission Board that they've consented that this property can be transferred to the buyer. So these documents at this point is when you realize at some point that, oh, if you're a foreigner, you probably don't have a PIN number, and of course you cannot buy this property. So if you follow the process from the time that we started, you'll realize that once you know what it takes to buy a freehold property or a lease or property, you will know whether you are following the right track, and no one will mess you up along the line, that there's something that was required of you earlier that you didn't know about, that you're getting to know about it at this particular stage. So this is the stage where we are beginning the transfer process. You paid your 10% and now you provided all these documents so that the process of the transfer can start. And you can also check, especially I think I did mention on earlier on that the moment that this you've lodged this document, I think even after lodging these documents at the Ministry of Land, you can check how the process is going so that you can know if all the documents have been put in place and your transfer is beginning, and you know when you need to pay the balance of the amount that you are being asked. It is, please note, do not pay a full fee for the property you're buying. Do not pay the full amount until the transfer process is complete. The mistake majority of us make is to go ahead. If they say the property is worth 300,000, you go and borrow your 300,000 from the bank or wherever, or if you have it in cash, and transfer the full amount to the person selling the property or the landlord or the agent or the uh, land buying company that is selling the property. You transfer the full amount of money before the property process of transfer started. That is not right. That is not right. That is not safe for you as someone who is buying a property. Wait for the process, be patient, and at the point where all these documents you provided have been approved and the transfer process, which you can monitor, is ready, then your lawyer will advise you that now it is time for you to pay the full amount of money. Are we good? Are we good? Okay. Having provided all these documents to prepare you for a transfer, the buyer can actually do another search after 2 weeks to see if the property has actually been transferred into your name. In Kenya right now, the complication of the digital movement from the manual probably might hamper this or delay this a little, because many files are at ADI, others are at Survey of Kenya, and so it might delay this a little, but be patient. Do not be rushed by anyone to pay the full amount of money until the whole process of transfer is complete. All right. So that is all from us today concerning the key points that you need to note when purchasing a property in Kenya. Please, if you have any question concerning property transfer, please put them down on the comment section. Like this video, share this video with your friends, give us a thumbs up, kindly subscribe, If you've enjoyed watching this, please sub. Okay. If you've enjoyed watching this video, if you like what we're doing, if you enjoy this content, please subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate your support. Until next time, bye bye.